Let's talk about the NFL. Let's talk about Ben McAdoo. If you haven't heard the reports, Ben McAdoo has been fired as the head coach of the New York Giants. It was maybe 3 or 4 weeks ago, we sat here and kind of squabbled at whose fault it was that the Giants were, let's not sugarcoat it, trash.
Yeah.
And they benched Geno. And did they win this week?
Maybe. No.
Nobody really cares, do they?
I think if they won this week, they wouldn't be starting Eli Manning.
Well, anyway, the Giants, oh, they didn't win. That's right. They did not win. So the Giants have fired Ben McAdoo, and it ended just how you thought it would after 28 regular season games. It gives them the lowest total of wins by a Giant head coach since 1930.
Ben McAdoo has been fired.
So the Giants are officially looking at to fill the vacancies for head coach and GM because they also fired their general manager. So I do want to go over a couple of points that I got on my phone during the break. So Giants owner John Mara says his very strong preference is to have a separate head coach and GM. However, he does not rule out a dual role if the candidate emerges, if the right candidate emerges. Mara says that both interim hires, so GM Kevin Abrams is the interim, and head coach Steve Spagnuolo. That may be a typo in there.
No, that's the guy's name.
I'm gonna continue. I'm thinking somebody else in my head. Will be interviewed for full-time jobs, and Reese was not responsible. So Reese was the GM for the Giants before he got fired. He was not responsible for the firing of Tom Coughlin, and he wasn't responsible for the hiring of Ben McAdoo. And when Coughlin was fired, Reese advocated for two candidates over McAdoo. That's interesting. That is interesting.
I mean, is anyone else? No one else has fired their head coach yet in the NFL, have they?
No. Mara says that McAdoo is the one who initially came up with the plan to bench Eli Manning via Josina Anderson of ESPN. And apparently management was not happy about benching Eli Manning.
I mean, I wouldn't be. To do a dual Super Bowl winning quarterback? Although, like I said in my argument a few weeks ago, Eli is part of the problem, I think. I don't think Eli's not in his prime anymore.
I think everything else is part of the problem.
And Odell Beckham coming in has been a Band-Aid, per se, on Eli Manning's career.
If you give Eli the offensive line, you give him the weapons, he's fine. They had neither one of those because of just poor management. They didn't have either one of those because of injuries, and it showed. Because I don't care how good a quarterback is, you can't throw any quarterback on that team and expect them to be good. And that's why the Giants lost last week or this past Sunday, because they threw in a quarterback and they're like, "Oh, we're gonna evaluate him." And what happened? You got your face smashed in. So, but things happen.
It's still, you can't rule Eli out completely. Eli's not in his prime anymore. He's not a quarterback that's going to lead you to a Super Bowl anymore, even with a good offensive line. It's time for them to start exploring options. It's not time for them to get rid of him yet, but it's time to start looking at getting a quarterback that can develop under him and then take over very soon.
I mean, that's fine, and you should always be doing that. I mean, that's what Tom Brady did. That's what Tony Romo did. I mean, you're supposed to be doing that all the time. But it's not near benching Eli Manning for, no.
Not benching him, no, because you don't have a valid starter underneath him. You have Geno Smith. He couldn't even start for the Jets.
And he got beat up. Literally.
They need, right now, this draft, they need to go out and find a good quarterback.
I heard Sam Darnold's available.
Maybe. He may stay in.
If the Browns have the Browns are going to have the first pick. I'm sorry. Unless the Browns trade their pick, they're going to have it. I'm sorry, Giants fan. I say you got to tank, but you can't tank better than the Browns. A+ on that front for the Browns.
I mean, I don't think anyone's better at tanking than the Browns.
I mean, 1-15 last year, 0-11 this year. They do a great job at this.
You got to tank.
You got to tank. The Colts, number 4 pick. They know how to tank.
Anyway, but this, I don't know if this was the right decision to fire McAdoo now. I would have waited till the end of the year.
No, I say, look.
Because you're not getting any better.
There's no point in keeping a coach around if you know you want him gone.
I mean, if you keep him around, I mean, you're not getting any better. You're not going to hire anyone as the new coach now. You're going to wait. They'll probably wait till the end of the year. I would be shocked if they hired someone now as their permanent
but you
coach.
you want to go ahead and start that search. Look, even if I was a head coach, if I know they don't want me after the year ends, go ahead and just terminate me.
I'd want them to keep me through the end of the year.
No, I do not want that because it's hard to go into work each and every day to coach these guys to win a game if you know you won't be there at the end. It's hard to do that. That's why, and this is going back to college football, that's why for a lot of guys, Scott Frost, for example, he's not getting fired, but for players in general, it's kind of hard to be motivated when you know the guy that you may have went to school for. You may have went to UCF because of Scott Frost, or the guy that you admire because he's taught you how to be a man. It's kind of hard to focus on a game when you know he's leaving at some point. On the flip side, for a guy who's been fired, I am telling you right now, and that's the reason why Tennessee got rid of Butcher Jones. If they knew he was gone, and boy, he was gone, I'm surprised he lasted as long as he did. But if those players know that Butch Jones is getting fired, they don't care anymore. And obviously, we've realized that they don't care because they did not show up to games anymore mentally. So if I'm a coach, give me the respect that don't waste my time. It's not a money thing because you're going to get your money. Don't waste my time. Don't waste your time. If I'm not the guy and you want to move on now so I can go back and get my paycheck because I ain't mad. And that way you can start your search. That's all I'm saying.
I would, if I was a coach, I would want to stay on until the end of the year. Even though, you know you're going to be fired, I would still be like, hey, let me just end the year and then leave because if you're firing me, there's not a good chance I'm getting hired anywhere else. So I might as well work as long as I want.
Now, that being said, if you're in the final season of your contract and you know they're not going to renew you, yeah, run it out. Because end your contract because it looks better when you don't get fired. But if you just got into a new extension and you just stunk it up that year and you know you're getting fired, don't even keep me around. Just go ahead and end it. Go ahead and end it, man. I don't want to be around a team that I know I'm not going to coach because it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt. It's going to be hard to be motivated for games. So go ahead and cut me. Do it, coach.
I just don't know what they're not. The Giants aren't getting any better this year.
No,
they're not. They're going to get one of those top 5. They're going to get a top 5 pick. They're not getting any better. But
you evaluate what you have and you go from there. So I can't be mad at the Giants. That being said, I assumed Ben McAdoo would make it through the year, but he didn't. I'm not upset about the Giants for doing that.
I'm not going to argue with their managerial decisions. That if that's what they want,
and they got rid of their GM, so which says a lot. So
I can also see where
they're cleaning house.
Like you said, they go ahead and get started on their new search ahead of everyone else, so that they can have a chance to be like, hey, you're a good coach. Come coach for us instead of going, to them. Now you're like you can interview people and be like, hey, come be our head coach. Look, there's no other options.
Because by the end of this week, we're going to have a list of, coaches that they're going to be interested in, and they're going to be ahead of the game on everybody. And that's big. That's really big for the Giants, just being ahead of the curve. So I really can't complain about that.